Good morning. I would like to take some time to tell you about a few of my friends, some of these great Egyptian pharaohs. The first one I want to talk about is my good friend Ahmose. Now, Ahmose was a fantastic pharaoh who was given credit for driving the Hyksos out of Egypt and returning control of the Egyptian civilization to, well, the Egyptians. And when he came into power, we started what was known as the New Kingdom. Another one of the pharaohs that I had the pleasure of meeting back in the day was a fine man by the name of Akhenaten. Now, he gets a bad rap because he changed the entire religion of the Egyptian people, who prior to him believed in many gods, or what was called polytheistic views. And he changed it to the belief of one god, or monotheistic, and his god was Aten. And the problem with our good friend Akhenaten is he changed the capital, moved the capital south, and really kind of holed up there and neglected his job as the pharaoh. And because of that, Egypt lost a lot of land. However, some people think he was a revolutionary in terms of his religious beliefs because a lot of the major religions of the world eventually became monotheistic. However, he was a little ahead of his time, and he did neglect his job as pharaoh, and so that's why a lot of people are not a big fan of his. Now, eventually Akhenaten leaves the throne, and we have another pharaoh that comes in by the name of Tutankhamun, who many of you may have known as King Tut. Now, he didn't do a lot as a pharaoh because he became a pharaoh at a very young age, but he did restore the old religion and the old priests and the old gods. And that's really all he did. But the reason he's so famous is because his tomb, when found by the archaeologist Howard Carter, was untouched, meaning the looters had not went in, and the archaeologists and historians were able to learn so much about Egyptian history that we think of King Tut's contribution is more of contribution to modern day man, and that he allowed us to gave us a glimpse of what Egyptian life was like through the things that they found in his tomb. Another fantastic Egyptian pharaoh was actually one of the very few female pharaohs, and her name was Hatshepsut. And during her reign, she really focused on trade and commerce and really built Egypt's wealth. She also built a lot of temples and various building projects, but one of the things that she contributed greatly was this building of wealth, and under her power, Egypt became very wealthy and very powerful. And while Hatshepsut focused on trade and commerce, my next friend, Mr. Thutmose III, was quite the opposite. He focused on expanding the empire through war, and he dominated in the war and added a lot of land to Egypt during the New Kingdom. But one of the other interesting things about him is when he captured these new lands and created these slaves that were from these conquered lands, he actually gave these slaves a lot of rights they previously hadn't had, which was very revolutionary for that time. Now, the last pharaoh is arguably the greatest pharaoh, and he was even called Ramses the Great. And his big contribution was during his over 60-year reign as pharaoh, he had a lot of building projects that he started that really made Egypt beautiful again. Beautiful temples, beautiful monuments. In addition to the massive building projects, the borders were expanded once again to include parts of Western Asia, which had previously been lost, and his reign was one of the best and one of the greatest of the Egyptian pharaoh times. All of these pharaohs, all 6 of them, whether it's Ahmose, Akhenaten, Hatshepsut, Tutankhamun, Ramses, or Thutmose, they all contributed to Egyptian being the powerful and important civilization that it was.